All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to break down a framework that will help you sidestep the biggest, most painful mistake any creator can make. We're talking about a proven way to make sure that cool AI product you're thinking about is something people will actually want, and more importantly, be willing to pay for. Let's figure out how you can build something people are actually lining up to buy.
And let's just start with the stakes here because they are huge. I mean, there's absolutely nothing worse than pouring your heart, your time, and your money into building something amazing, only to launch it and hear, crickets. It's a universal fear for a reason, and it's exactly why we need a smarter way to build things.
Let me tell you a quick story from way back in the software world, back in the CD-ROM days. A guy I know built this incredibly smart, complex product. It cost a ton of money and took months of work. The problem? He had no idea who to market it to because he never actually checked if anyone wanted it in the first place. It was a classic and very, very expensive lesson.
So what is this heartbreaking mistake? Well, it really just boils down to starting with a clever idea instead of starting with a painful problem. This whole explainer is really about one fundamental shift in your thinking, moving away from idea-first thinking to demand-first thinking. And that right there is the entire game.
And you can really see the difference between these two mindsets. The old way, idea first, is probably what feels natural. You build a cool thing, you get obsessed with the features, and you just kind of cross your fingers and hope an audience shows up. But the new, much smarter way is demand first. You go find a real, painful problem that a specific group has, and only then do you build the exact thing to solve that pain.
Okay, so how do we find that demand? Well, your first mission is to go find what we call the sea of demand. This is basically where your future customers are already hanging out, talking, and most importantly, complaining about their problems. This is key. You don't create demand, you discover where it already exists.
And to navigate this sea, you're going to need a map. That map is your ideal client profile, or your ICP. And I'm not talking about some vague demographic like men ages 25 to 40. No way. We're talking about a crystal clear picture of the exact person you're trying to help. What's their job? What industry are they in? What are their daily struggles? You have to get super clear on your ICP before you do anything else.
So, the actual process for finding this demand is pretty straightforward. Once you have your ICP, you find their watering holes, the online places where they hang out, subreddits, LinkedIn groups, online forums. Then you basically become an anthropologist. You just listen, you watch the words they use, you write down their complaints, and only after you've done all that homework do you start reaching out for interviews to dig deeper.
Now, after you've spent all this time listening to your customers' problems, you're going to be buzzing with ideas. But the next big trap is trying to solve all their problems at once. The key here is to find your wedge, that one single killer feature that solves their most painful problem first. That's your way in.
Let me give you a perfect real-world example of this. A developer named Will wanted to help travel planners. His first big idea was this massive thing called the Ultimate Trip Planner. Sounds cool, right? But then he actually talked to travel planners, and he found out their biggest nightmare wasn't planning trips, it was trying to manage thousands of different rate sheets from hotels. So his wedge just became a simple tool to manage those rates. That's it.
And this right here is the key takeaway. You almost never win by building a kitchen sink app that does 20 things kind of poorly. You win by launching a wedge that does one thing better than anyone else on the planet. Solve the most painful problem first. You can always add more bells and whistles later.
Okay, so you found a painful problem, you figured out your wedge feature, the urge to just start coding is probably overwhelming right now. I get it. But wait, there is one last absolutely crucial step. You have to make a validated bet, which is just a fancy way of saying you need to get real proof that people want this before you build a single thing. And guess what? It's ridiculously simple to do this. First, don't try to reinvent the wheel. Just find a landing page you know works well and kind of clone the layout. Second, take the exact words and phrases you heard from your customers and use that as the text on your page. And third, just add a simple little box for people to put their email in to join a waitlist. That's literally the whole thing. So what's your goal here? 1,000 signups? 10,000? Nope. Your first goal is just 10. Your mission is to get 10 real people from your target audience to give you their email address. Why 10? Because it's an achievable number, but it's also meaningful, it's real, tangible proof from the market that you might be onto something.
So let's just recap the entire demand-first framework real quick. It's 3 simple steps. Step 1, find demand. Do your research, find a real painful problem. Step 2,
Define your wedge. Focus on that one killer feature that solves that problem. And step 3, validate your bet. Put up a simple landing page and get 10 signups before you write a single line of code.
And that really brings us to the final question I want to leave you with. Take a hard, honest look at what you're working on. Are you building a solution to a painful, validated problem for a specific group of people? Or are you just building a cool product that's still searching for a problem to solve? Because the answer to that question changes absolutely everything.